Welcome to this presentation of Change Your Mindset Towards Food. According to the Food Addiction Institute, the most common food addictions include foods that contain sugar, flour, fats, grains, or salts, or some combination of these ingredients. The most common food addiction behaviors include binge eating, purging, and volume eating. You can take back control. Consider your attitude towards food. While food can be comforting and pleasurable, food should not be looked to as a main source of comfort, pleasure, or reward, because at that point eating becomes a problem and food addiction can wreak havoc on your life. Overcoming food addiction takes time. The brain needs healthy nutrition and emotional self-care to rebalance pleasure chemical levels. A person needs consistency, repetition, and support to create a balanced lifestyle and make the lifelong change needed to overcome food addiction. Physical hunger usually comes on gradually and is guilt-free. You get full and it satisfies your need for food. People tend to think that emotional eating is because one cannot control themselves. If emotional eating was as simple as giving up eating a particular food type or eating when it is not appropriate to do so, such as when not physically hungry, we would not be torturing ourselves by gorging on junk food when sad, upset, lonely, or bored. You lack awareness. Emotional eating can be caused by not thinking about what it is you are eating, or something therapists call unconscious eating. Unconscious eating is when you continue eating even when you are done with your meal, but you continue to pick at leftovers on your plate. Food is your only pleasure. Many people use food as their primary means of pleasure. At the end of a long and hectic day, there is nothing better than curling up on the couch with pizza and soda to watch a movie. Sound familiar? Look for other ways to unwind and sources of pleasure after a long day. Try taking a walk or going to the park. Watch that movie after you eat a healthy meal at the dinner table. Difficult feelings. Since we were younger, we have been taught that food will make you feel better when you are feeling down. Welcome to this presentation of Food as Pleasure. Overcome dysfunctional eating and food addiction. Food addiction is believed to affect 5 to 10% of the population. Food addiction is when a person's body has become chemically dependent on one or more food substances and needs the substances to function in a normal way. It is the same as a drug or alcohol addiction. According to the Food Addiction Institute, the most common food addictions include foods that contain sugar, flour, fats, grains, or salts, or some combination of these ingredients. The most common food addiction behaviors include binge eating, purging, and volume eating. Signs and symptoms of food addiction include gorging in more food than one can physically tolerate, eating to the point of feeling ill, going out of your way to obtain certain foods, continuing to eat certain foods even if no longer hungry, eating in secret, isolation and avoiding social interactions, relationships, or functions to spend time eating certain foods. Also, you might experience chronic fatigue and difficulty concentrating. Other symptoms include sleep disorders, irritability, suicidal ideation, eating behaviors causing negative consequences in your life, and having a doctor or family member express concern over your eating. People with food addiction are unable to control their urges on a long-term basis. Food addiction may result in negative physical, psychological, and social effects. Negative physical effects include heart disease, diabetes, digestive problems, malnutrition, obesity, chronic fatigue, chronic pain, sleep disorders, reduced sex drive, headaches, lethargy, arthritis, stroke, and other chronic conditions. Negative psychological effects include low self-esteem, depression, panic attacks, increased feelings of anxiety, feeling sad, hopeless, or in despair, increased irritability, emotional detachment or numbness, and suicidal ideation. Negative social effects include decreased performance at work or school, isolation from loved ones, division within family units, lack of enjoyment in hobbies or activities once enjoyed, and avoidance of social events or functions. Let's take a look at the differences between normal eaters and food addicts. Normal eaters follow a predictable and healthy diet plan. Food addicts often engage in irregular, infrequent, or delayed eating. Generally, normal eaters consume enough food to maintain their weight and health. Food addicts eat regardless of how their intake affects their weight, health, and energy level. Normal eaters consume a healthy variety of foods both throughout the day and at each meal or snack. Food addicts are most often addicted to and eat a greater amount of unhealthy junk food and generally eat fewer fruits, vegetables, and protein than a normal eater. Normal eaters normally eat for fuel and nutrition and on occasion indulge in treats. The food addict's primary purpose in eating is to reduce stress and anxiety caused by the negative feedback loop the addiction causes. It is the difference between eating to live and living to eat. Normal eaters do not experience stress or anxiety when their food options change. Food addicts are often rigid in their need to eat certain foods or to eat foods in a certain way. Changes in their environment or food options can create psychological distress that leads to emotional outbursts and displays of disordered eating. Overcoming food addiction takes time. The brain needs healthy nutrition and emotional self-care to rebalance pleasure chemical levels. A person needs consistency, repetition, and support to create a balanced lifestyle and make the lifelong change needed to overcome food addiction. Eliminate the foods that cause overeating, including sweets, white flour, and junk and processed foods. Replace these foods with healthy proteins, fruits, and vegetables to rewire your brain chemistry and lessen food cravings. Get all this food out of your house. Have a plan to stop eating these foods. It may take some days for cravings to diminish. Understand that irritability and sleeplessness or excessive sleepiness often happen during this period. Plan to get support from family, friends, or professionals during this time. Food choices should have no more than 5 ingredients to keep them from being overly processed and full of potentially addictive substances. When shopping for food, make a list and stick to it.